Hello, hi, I'm Cryptic Hybrid and this is Last Drops of a Bloodline. Now, Last Drops of a Bloodline is an illustrated story about ghosts and magic, so by that definition alone I want to play it, but it's also made by the team that created Breakfast at Trappist 1, an adventure game that I really liked, so let's check out their latest creation, Last Drops of a Bloodline, available on itch.io. Let's see, you walk once again up the hill. This time should be the last. After years of studying the language, learning the spells, studying the language once more because you were nowhere as good as you thought, learning more spells, and learning how to avoid the police, you were now ready. This time, Gabia the Witch, I think that's how it's pronounced, was going to give you the last lesson. In a few days, you will be far away from the Baltic and ready to summon the spirit of your ancestor, and hopefully fix the mess that your life has become. You wait in the usual position, comfortable sitting at the top of one of the magical hills of Kernave maybe, where the ancient Balts worship the spirits of nature and observe the movements beyond the river. When your genealogical researchers revealed that you had a Lithuanian ancestor, you had no idea what fantastic mythology you were about to discover. You also did not expect to find that Baltic people are still full of supernatural powers. Gabia appears like she did any other time you met her, walking through the fog as if she walked out of her bedroom and through a curtain, wearing colorful and floating fabrics that somewhat assembled into a dress, amber beads all around her skin. She seemed satisfied to see you sitting in the perfect meditative position, even though her expression is still difficult to read. "You seem complete," she says in her language. Or you think she said, since even hours in planes to the Soviet Union compulsively studying self-learning books have failed to make you fluent. "I think I am," you answer. Gabia has told you everything you need to know. She gives you a tiny glass of herb liquor. "You know the secret now," she says. "You can summon the ghosts of the dead that are related to you. The closest the relation, the easiest. A bit of focus and you can raise a direct ascendant. If you were to give it all your energy, you could even reach a distant cousin, but that may exhaust you." The months spent flying back and forth were useful, and you walk down the hill under the gaze of a motionless, standing Gabia. You remember her lessons, and you know you can only summon if you stand over the resting place of the deceased, and if you address them in the language they spoke as living. Hence, as you take a taxi back to the airport, you get a Lithuanian dictionary out of your coat's pocket again. Reaching Lithuania in the 1980s was not an easy task. The Soviet occupation made the trip complicated. Foreigners had to travel through a distant airport in a major Soviet city and brace themselves for a flight in an ersatz of a jetliner. I don't know what that means. Ersatz? And of course, there was also the KGB. You even gave your handler a nickname, the Tower, because his standing figure constantly in the corner of your field of vision reminded you of towers on chessboards. He never talked to you, but he was not subtle in the way he followed you everywhere, stopping only at the edge of the Lithuanian countryside, like if old Baltic spirits or ghosts were guarding the place against the likes of him. This time, however, he came to talk to you just as you followed the line to enter the plane. "This is your last trip, right?" he said in a perfect accent of your language. "You are back home for good now." While you thought about what to answer, he vanished without a trace. Your home is not much, but you're always relieved to finally reach it. The one-room apartment is warm and cozy, if only because the bed takes half of the room. Oh boy, what an apartment then. Jane piled up the bed with cushions, pillows, and blankets, and even after you guys broke up, you kept it as such. It smells like her sometimes, and that makes you even sadder. You wish you guys could get back together again. The apartment is also a safe haven from your failing career. It is not located in the best part of the town, and you wish you could move to a better area. Apart from your bed, the small coffee table is filled to the brim with papers, manuscripts, photocopies of archives, which allow you to build your genealogical tree. We could even call it a genealogical jungle. In any case, you have all it takes to go and summon your great-grandfather. Let's see about Jane. Jane and you had once a wonderful relationship. After a few years together and sharing a nice little cocoon of a place, you devised a plan to get a better life for the both of you. She was to move on from copywriter to independent, and you were to quit this big corporation to pass the exam and become an archivist at the local town hall. She succeeded and you failed. You guys tried to make it work, but the discrepancy, the bitterness, the unsaid reproaches corroded your relationship until it broke. You still meet and phone from time to time like old friends, and the spark is still there. It's palpable. It wouldn't take much to reignite it. She texted you, "Are you okay after the trip?" And you answered, "Yes, thanks. Meet soon, okay?" So to that she answered only with a smile and a smiling emoticon. You know what? Maybe we can get back together with Jane. Let's see, failing career. Your dream to be an archivist did not seem so crazy, yet it did not turn out as expected. You wanted to be a historian, but teachers demotivated you with speeches about how hard it would be to do that job and how a humble person like you should lower their expectations. And that's why a lot of teachers suck. You did, and even this was too high. All you do is sort papers for a filthy manager, and you still don't dare to tell him to bugger off. You just go back to hide in your home every evening. Your manager just calls you and you sit on the bed. It's as if he knew you finally relaxed and he wanted to prevent it. "You sorted out the files for tomorrow, right?" Your answer that was due next month. "No, we had a conversation, it was for next month, except if we could do it earlier, remember?" It makes no sense, and you never had that conversation, but you know better than going against his word. The only job you have as an archivist is for a big company that treats you as less than a janitor. If only you could get out of that. I'm guessing that's what we're trying to do by summoning our great-grandfather, right? You forge into the pile of papers until you find the right one. The address of a cemetery in a small village. Your father was an orphan at a young age, and thus the family history was lost. Looking into your ancestry, you discovered your great-grandfather was a Lithuanian stonemason who ran away from the Tsarist regime and found refuge in the deepest valley of your country. You pack your least dirty clothes, the Erlof bag that you got on your flight back, and run to the station before any thug can get you. The train leads you to the capital, where you change for another train to a small town. It takes the entire night. Once there, you take a bus to the small village where, as you recently discovered, your paternal family actually hailed from. It is dusk by the time you finally make it to the village. In the fog, the rare villager looks like a statue. And maybe they are statues. You don't even try to talk to anyone. The cemetery is small, but your ancestor was buried a long time ago. And he was poor. All you hope for is that he was not discarded in an unmarked grave. To your relief, you quickly find it. The stone is rough and probably a spare one from a building project, but it bears his mark, the one he used to sign some documents. He was illiterate, and all he knew was his identification as a mason. You kneel near the tomb and put your hands on the floor. It is overgrown and unkept. No one cares for him, obviously. You start feeling sorry for his loneliness. This is part of what Gabia trained you to do. You focus and you feel the ramifications of your family tree. You don't wander around, and you go straight upwards to 3 paternal generations above. This is enough to already strain your untrained nerves. You talk in your head in Lithuanian, using the sentences you prepared for the occasion. "Please come. Please, I'm your last son. We are family. Please come." And he did. You feel a strange embrace, like strong arms on your shoulders while you are crouching in this strange prayer. It's like you can almost hear him talk, but he makes no sound. Your great-grandfather is here. You can feel him. He raised from the dead. His invisible, immaterial presence is all around you. You smile inside. You barely had any family at all, and now you have this ideal grandpa hovering above your shoulders. Well, he's a ghost, it's not ideal, but yeah. The summoning made you dizzy. As you walk towards the gate of the cemetery, you stumble and almost fall to the ground. But ghosts have strong reflexes, and as Gabbia taught you, they have these knee-jerk reactions. With the strength of a stonemason, he firmly held you by the chest and put you back on your feet. "Thanks, Grandpa," you say out loud in Lithuanian before walking away. So wait, so now we have the spirit of our grandfather like all the time with us? The next few days, you relish in the comfort of your little cocoon. Grandpa, as you took a pattern of calling him, is indefatigable, and you can feel his paternal pride and filial affection when he casually moves even the heaviest objects around. Your life has never been easier. You lie in the bed, smelling Jane's perfume on the cushions, thinking maybe you could call her as you feel so confident for once. You may also decide to go buy something to eat. You even have enough energy to do some work without feeling stressed. At some point, you need to go visit Gabbia to ask for further advice. You know what? Let's try Jane. You definitely are on a high when you take your phone and browse to find Jane's number. It used to be Jane with heart emoticons, then it was that bitch, then it was do not call, then it was back to Jane, pure and simple. Her changing nicknames on your phone reflected the evolution of your feelings. You regret ever hating her. You always loved her. Yeah, but then how does that work, you know? You loved her and then you hate her and now you love her back? Come on. And you know she still has a deep feeling for you. You want to believe the cycle is over and you guys can go back together. You want to know if somehow she also grew a bigger person and feels capable now of handling your relationship. Because you sure do. You call. The beep of the ringtone carries on for too long. Finally she takes the call, her husky voice showing signs of fatigue. "Yes?" Just hearing her again makes you smile and feel warm, like none of the ugliness ever happened. You inquire about her, about how she feels. She's guarded but opens up slightly, like an old friend would. You can sense she had a hard time after the breakup, but that she also found some peace in her. She traveled a lot apparently. You recommend Kernabe as a site to visit. She chuckles kindly. Then there's a long silence, and she says goodbye to you. It seems it will take more time for you guys to bond again. I'm just gonna send, Grandpa over so, to get her back. So, she's gonna carry her because she's strong. Alright, let's visit Gabbia. This trip to Lithuania is the easiest you've ever had. With Grandpa over your shoulder, no one can bother you, and his halo around you makes you behave with a natural charisma that convinces everyone to cooperate. Even the tower, your dear KGB handler, seems poised to leave you alone. After seeing him behind a column at the airport, you lose track of him on your way to the Baltic countryside. At Kernave, Gabbia surprises you. She was already waiting for your arrival at the top of the hill. "I'm glad to meet your ancestor at last," she says. "I can see he likes you. He cannot see or hear as the living would, but he can feel things through you and he's happy to see you thrive." You can ask her about what to do next with him, or you can ask advice on who to summon next. Well, let's see what to do next with him. You talk to Gabbia about other ancestors you could try to summon. Your mother's side is almost unknown to you. Most of them died in the war. Your grandparents were destitute post-war young adults but they had grandiose stories of being from the nobility that you dismissed as self-aggrandizement tales from traumatized people. But when you did genealogical research, you discovered they were right. Indeed, before the war, your maternal ancestors were reasonably well-off lawyers with some influence in their village. Before the Napoleonic War, they were even officials in a small fiefdom. Fiefdom? 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 I don't know what this fiefdom is. Going back further, you discover one of them had married the last daughter of a baron. This made barons your ancestor as well, all the way back to a knight alive in the 13th century. Gabbia listens in silence. The foggy wind makes her amber beads vibrate. "You are free to use your skills," she says. You do not need me to allow you to summon anyone. Remember, if this knight is your 13 times great-grandfather, this can be an exhausting process. Do you at least know where to find him and in which language to talk to him? You explain to her he is buried under a church and was at the service of the Duke of Savoy. You have written the summoning invocation in different dialects of the time. It was hard, but it was worth it. It seems you have decided already, she concludes. What does your grandpa think? You try to feel his emotions, but in vain. When you look back at Gabia, she has vanished. Shrugging it off, you take an uneventful trip back to the airport. We're summoning everyone, basically. You do not take a plane back, though. Instead, you fly straight to southern France and make your way towards the Alps. Needing funds for multiple trains, buses, and eventual taxis, you trick Grandpa into breaking the wall of a tobacco shop, trying to tell yourself that they deserve to be mugged for selling poison to people. Yeah, okay, well, still stealing. Savoy used to be an independent realm that is now divided between Italy and France. Your ancestors' resting place is a small village over 3,000 meters in altitude on the French side of Savoy. Nowadays, it is reduced to a single street of medieval houses and a small church. When you make it there, it looks like snow is suspended in midair, permanently frozen halfway to the ground, and there is no one around. Actually, I would like to go there. See some snow? You know, be somewhere in the Alps? Oh yeah, definitely. Even if I didn't have an ancestor to summon, that's what I mean. You enter the small church, and after a while, you locate the tomb. A much larger stone on the floor bears the eroded shape of a coat of arms. You kneel and start summoning. First in ancient Aspetan French, then in Ostian dialect, and finally in Latin. Grandpa loses patience. The spirit of the stonemason suddenly takes its grip on the material world as the large stone is dislodged from the floor and lifted upwards. Wow. It's like he can't take it anymore. It's like, come on, let's just get him out. It's like, no, that's not how it works, Grandpa. Mud around almost fossilized bones shows you what remains of Sir Thorens, Knight of Valerna, I guess. You focus again and keep talking in Latin, backwards and backwards in your family tree, inwards in your brain cells until the incantation reaches centuries and centuries backwards. Finally, after an exhausting search in your own core, Thorens de Valerna answers. His spirit materializes under your armpits, lifts you up on your feet, and becomes immaterial again. Soon, you feel his presence like you feel Grandpa. As you leave the village to travel all the way back to your home, the ghost of a medieval knight accompanies you. That's pretty cool. You arrive in your street, feeling content with two ghosts hovering over you, when you hear an all-too-familiar voice. There, I told you that's where he lives. The two thugs are there. One of them holds a crowbar, and it is not only a weapon. You can see behind them the door of your building was forced open. This time you won't play any little tricks on us, the other thug says. Yeah. They push you against the wall, and one holds the crowbar against your neck. As he does so, you feel the electric-like signal of Grandpa becoming nervous. The Knight de Valerna, however, remains composed and fills you with dignified wisdom in facing danger. I told you he had a sort of stun gun or something last time. We did not see him to use it, but it was in his pocket or something. You understand why your wrists have been lifted up and locked behind the crowbar. They are wary of you using whatever tool you had to push them away last time. Whatever, let's finish him off. In the corner of your eyes, you see the streetlight reflecting on a blade, and this time it is significantly bigger than a cutter. Are you going to ask Grandpa for help, or will you ask the Knight de Valerna instead? That's a good question. I think the Knight? I mean... You focus and talk inside your head, calling the Knight de Valerna for help. Gabia explained to you that ghosts are what they think themselves to be. In general, it implies they still think of themselves as carrying their attributes. You know what that can mean for a knight. He still thinks he carries a sword and faces seasoned opponents. Before you have time to think further, the knight got the message. In front of you, the head of the thug is chopped off. The other thug looks in disbelief as his friend's head at his friend's head rolling to his shoes. The severed neck splashed out blood as freely as a fountain. Your own face, which was near him, is soaked red. You look dispassionately at the Knight de Valerna pieces through the second thug's heart, pierces too. Around you, a large pool of blood is forming. You should probably, You walk away from the scene and to the safety of your own apartment, where you hope you can process what just happened. Yeah, and wash, because you're definitely gonna be, a suspect. You enter your apartment and strip off your bloody clothes, throwing them in the shower cabin. You push the coffee table against the broken entrance door to lock yourself in, and you go to stand on your own clothes, naked, turning the shower off. You stay under the steamy, burning hot water until there are no red stains in the whirlpool that goes down the drain. You step out and wrap yourself in a towel, throwing your drenched clothes on the line hanging above you, and wobble to the bed. They did not manage to break it. You collapse and doze off for a while. You open your eyes, resolving that it was self-defense. These two guys escalated the violence when you never wanted anything else but to be left alone. That's true, it was self-defense technically. Also, we didn't kill him, it was great-great-great-great-great-great-great-great-grandpa. You find it easier to leave the experience behind you with the presence of Grandpa and the Knight of Valerna in your thoughts. They do not seem shocked by the demise of the two thugs. Well, they also lived in different times, especially the Knight. You suddenly remember the work you had to do and hope the thugs did not damage your files. You also think about Jane again. You wish you were here, or maybe not. What would she think of all this? At the end of it all, you feel the need to talk to Gabia again. She's the only person who can give you informed advice. Let's chillax a little bit and get some, life done. Like the work. You forge into the torn papers and a few possessions left behind by the thugs when they savage your apartment. To your relief, the little blocks of papers tied up together are still intact, albeit dispersed through the room. You realize suddenly that you are now late again. You forgot to post them back to your boss. You sit on the bed thinking you will do it another day. The Knight of Valerna doesn't accept this though. His spirit applies pressure on your backbone and shoulders. He interprets your thoughts as you lacking in your duty to your liege. Galvanized by his values, you effortlessly put on some simple clothes, find a pre-stamped envelope sent by your boss along with a pile of documents, and shove them all in. You walked away to the post office almost like a robot, or more accurately, like a soldier. The envelope falls in the mailbox, and you walk back home without ever thinking. Maybe I, made a mistake getting the night out. You lie down and call Jane, turning the light off. Only the faint street light through the shades is tracing a few diagonal lines on the ceiling. You're not sure exactly what you will tell her if she ends up answering. At that stage, you will need to hide a lot of things from her, 2 ghosts and the 2 deaths. You are not sure you're comfortable with that. "Hello?" says a husky voice. She seems as tired as last time, but more cheerful. You open your mouth to talk and suddenly feel the Knight of Valerna holding your shoulders. He pours in your brain a heavy dose of chivalry, dignity, values, and bravery. Suddenly, not only are you strong enough to talk to her, but you feel like you have a duty to do so. You don't back off. You make the Knight proud by having a long talk with Jane. Although you omit the ghost and the 2 corpses down the street, in fact you completely forget about them, you are more open about your feelings this time. After a silence, you end up asking her if she wants to catch up sometimes. She quickly answers, "I will think about it," and hangs up. Maybe she's, with someone else already. Let's see Gabia. You leave your building and walk to a bus stop where you hear a voice behind you. "Excuse me, do you have a minute?" The 2 valiant ghosts turn with you, but once you see the person who asked, you focus to rein in both of them. A detective is showing you his police badge. Badge? "I'm Detective Edgar. Do you happen to know anything about the double murder of last night?" You can tell somehow he knows you're the culprit. Maybe the 2 ghosts can sense it. You spend a lot of time taming their nervousness and pushing back on their influence. After you are done answering his questions, Detective Edgar looks at you. head to toes. Alright, you can go, have a nice flight. You walk towards the avenue with a strange feeling in your tummy. You reach the airport. There's a big crowd today. You clutch at your suitcase, not because you are afraid of losing it, but because one of the ghosts seems eager to push it himself. Okay. You look for the ALL counter, where you suddenly feel both ghosts getting tense. You already learned how to interpret their emotions. They are feeling alert at something. By instinct, you look just at the right place. Near a large pot plant, the tower, your favorite KGB agent is barely trying to hide. He has too little respect for you to properly conceal himself. You're not dangerous enough to warrant the effort. You get upset at this and walk straight to him. He looks surprised at first, but he doesn't flinch. "You go back to Lithuania?" he asks. "We're not in USSR here, you can't... Wait. Oh, so that's my character. "We're not in the USSR here, you can't do anything about me," you answer. He grins. "There is a flight going today, the usual one. There's a ticket ready for you at the counter. Go ahead, take it." The knight is slightly pulling you back. Curiously, the warrior ghost is inviting you to go away. Grandpa seems eager to go forward, and it seems like he drags you towards the hammer-like logo of the airline, a tool he's familiar with after all. "So," the KGB agent teases you, "what are you going to do?" "I'm going to back off this time." You decide to follow the impulse given to you by the Knight de Valerna. This is a skilled KGB agent with a plan, so let's be strategic about this. You suddenly notice the floor of the airport is made of black and white patterns, and you are between the tower and the knight as they move on the chessboard. "Do you have a secret, right?" the tower says while stepping forward. "That you used to kill the two men, right?" How does he know? Even in your country, these people can... "And your little Lithuanian friend is behind it, right?" Is he talking about Gabia? Is she who he's really after? "Maybe if we torture her a bit more, she will tell us what she..." Your muscles get tense at the idea that Gabia has been arrested and that it's your fault. Following your reaction, Grandpa knocks the tower's head to push him away, but he has better reflexes than the two thugs. He stepped back when he saw you charge your demeanor, and the hit barely makes his head jerk back. Still, he had what he wanted. He saw your ghosts in action. He grins and walks back. All of this was just to confirm his suspicion that there is something dangerous and mysterious about you. Even his escape was planned. You did nothing illegal in the Soviet Union, but he doesn't need any good reason to arrest you. He's the political police in a dictatorship. Once you enter the Soviet territory, he can do whatever he wants to you. But now you know your friend there is in danger. An excellent chess player, this man. You rush out and jump in a taxi to home, but midway through the journey you suddenly have an idea. You ask the driver to take you to the prison. What? Gabia warned you that trying to summon distant relatives was exhausting for the psyche, and that it could dangerously ruin your nervous system, but you are doing this for her own sake. The taxi did not even go as far as the entrance door of the prison. This is the most menacing silhouette in the cityscape. The building is home to terrorists, so-called terrorists, murderers, sadists, psychopaths, and a small yard behind a fragile fence where weeds grow widely. The little patch of land where, in your investigations, you discovered have been buried the remains of executed prisoners. Right, of course. Oh, we're gonna summon them? You walk at careful distance of the prison yard, which is heavily guarded, to reach the inconspicuous unmarked common grave. The knight cuts the wires, and Grandpa moves the earth. With their help, entering the yard is not a problem. You kneel at the center of the yard and start focusing. When you research your ancestors, you stumble on a familiar family name and decide to trace it down. Your distant cousin was a serial killer. What? You found old newspaper cuts about him. He was sentenced to death for killing as many as 60 people in various sadistic ways. He lured them by posing as a doctor and murdered them in parodies of medical operations. You even saw newsreel about him. The old, shaky black and white movies saw his menacing face, and you could hear his laughter, which shockingly sounded like yours. You are soon covered in sweat as you navigate the ramifications of your family tree, losing yourself in the wrong branches until you finally can feel the touch of the fake doctor's spirit. You call him. At least this is easy. He spoke your language after all. Suddenly, a violent cold grip catches your neck and nails you to the ground. Your face is pressed against the muddy, dirty grass. Your two ghost ancestors are nowhere to be felt, but the doctor holds you firmly. You have summoned your third ghost. As you are catching your breath, the spirit of the doctor gets some composure. You're very experienced now, standing and wiping the dirt from your clothes. You can feel the three ghosts around you, all ready to assist their dear relative. When you hear an alarm, like a bomb is about to fall. At least this is the thought of the doctor, who was alive during the war. At least this is the thought that the doctor who was alive during the war is pouring into your brain. The night cuts savagely to the fences to allow you to escape, and in the end, Grandpa lifts you up and over the wall. Soon you are far enough to not worry about the prison. Don't move! On your side is Detective Edgar holding a gun towards you. So you decided not to escape the country after all, but you were confronted by a spy, and now you try to make someone escape from a prison. What kind of a conspiracy are you part of? You're out of breath again. Edgar could not have appeared at the worst moment. Yeah, but we do have, it's technically 4 against 1. The three ghosts are pushing you to act. It is up to you. The detective will be confronted with Grandpa, or the Knight of Valerna, or with the doctor. Okay, so I don't want to kill him, so I'm guessing the doctor is out of the question. Let's go for Grandpa. You're afraid to look. You turn and run away. Behind you, Edgar makes gurgling noises. You turn in a busier street where people at the bus stop discuss the recent alarm from the nearby prison. A bus is stopping right now, so you jump in. Soon, the bleak cityscape of the prison's neighborhood is left behind. You are back in the city center. The three ghosts feel content around you. You yourself feel relaxed and even break a smile as you notice the legs of a pretty young woman who sits across from you on the bus. You start having ideas of touching her, maybe follow her when she walks out of the bus. Oh no, that's the doctor. That's the doctor talking. You suddenly realize what's happening to you and shake your head. Yes, see, the doctor was thinking about this, not you. You put your head against the window and look at the buildings passing by. You summarize your situation. You have 3 powerful ghosts helping you. Going to the USSR would probably put you in trouble with the secret police. The police in your country is after you for the murder of 2 street thugs, and both police forces seem to think you're hiding a larger secret. You have no choice but to run from here. Forget about your life here and go to another country where your 3 ghosts can help you settle comfortably. Leave all of this behind. It is not very chivalrous, but it is the practical thing to do, and you're not the one who should be afraid. You need to settle things. You could go one last time to your apartment and collect some of your goods. You could also get your last paycheck from your boss. Well, they're probably gonna look for me at the apartment, so let's go to the boss. You leave the bus at the next stop and call your manager from a phone booth. You want to make sure he's available and will have the money for you. He answers immediately. Oh, there you are. It's been a while since I heard from you. You explain that you want to quit. You bite your own cheek, preventing yourself from unleashing a litany of abuse now that you finally walk away from this crap job, but you keep it simple. Have my money, I leave. You know what? He says. I'm your home. How about we meet you at your front door and I'll sign you a check. That is actually very convenient and you accept. Or it's a trap. That's not good. You take the bus again until it reaches your neighborhood and walk in your street, the figure of your manager standing in front of your building. When you reach him, he immediately shoots. So, why is the detective asking about you? Uh-oh. You understand it's not going to be as easy as you expected. Just pay me and it won't be any of your business anymore, you answer. What follows is exactly what you expected. He talks and talks, finding excuses, less concerned by putting you to justice and more by finding ways to avoid paying you. It also turns out he was actually coming to visit because you did not answer his calls and he wanted to confront you. This makes you very angry. Sensing your anger, the doctor acts. You move to put your back on the entrance door of your building. Wait, to put your back on the entrance door of your building, okay. Your manager looks at you as you do, confused, and then suddenly realizes blood is pouring from his face. As if he were using a scalpel, the doctor is slicing the corners of his mouth, giving him the horrendous smile of a sinister clown. He tries in vain to walk backwards. The muscles around his ankles are being pulled out of gaping cuts in the flesh. He vacillates. Once on the floor, his screams are muted by the doctor, who cuts off his vocal cords and pierces a hole through his neck. With surgical precision, he slowly dismantles your manager, and you can sense his jubilation as he does. At first, the doctor's eagerness to destroy your nemesis made you enthusiastic. Once the ghost focused on his gruesome task, though, you got back to your own senses and realized the atrocity of what you have caused. Well, technically it's not my fault, because I don't control him. You turn around and you put your forehead on the doctor, in part because you don't want to see what causes the small meaty noises, and in part because you are ashamed. You look down on the floor as the noises stop. All you can see is the end of a puddle of dark blood and a bit of severed flesh that looks like part of an ear. You check yourself. You're not injured and you can move again. The doctor was kind enough to spare you your clothes any bloodstain. You take a deep breath and walk back. You have nowhere to go now. You have nothing left. Apart from the clothes you have on yourself, you manage to keep your wallet and passport. That's all. You walk towards the bus stop again. You are not lucky this time. A bus is already there, but you know it will leave before you reach it. Not that you would know where to go, but it's better than staying here. Once the bus leaves and the crowd spreads, you recognize someone. Jane. You know why she wears that dress, and you know why she gives you that smile. "Hey," she says. You silence the three ghosts, who all at the same time offer a reaction in your mind. You are experienced enough to shut them up all three. What? To shut up all three. Maybe you should do it more often. "I was coming to see you," says Jane. "I've been thinking about what you said." You struggle to find an answer. You rehearse this moment so often in your head, and now your head doesn't even belong to you anymore. You extend your hand and she puts hers in your palms. You both hold hands for a moment before kissing. Wow, that was fast. The rest happens naturally. The hug, the shivering of her shoulders in your arms, the tears, hers and yours, the other kisses, the walk, the other hugs, her small apartment. It looks much more disheveled than you expected. The lovemaking, the falling asleep, not even thinking how you're going to explain her your situation tomorrow. Yeah, she's gonna have a surprise. You fall asleep in Jane's small single bed, holding her tight. You're exhausted. In your dreams you see the faces of your Lithuanian great-grandfather holding a hammer and wearing clogs, looking at you with a mixture of pity and fatigue. You see the knight de Valerna holding a sword and a helmet, staring at you from above. You see the back of the doctor in his black and dusty raincoat as he turns slowly to you, his bow tie contrasting with his sadistic eyes. You see more of your ancestors, tens of thousands of them, up to half-naked people at the top of the Alps and Baltic tribes standing like vigils on the hills of Kernave. You feel cold in this dream. None of the faces you encounter is friendly or welcoming, as if you were disconnected from your own lineage. You wish Jane was there in your arms. Well, technically she's not family, this is all a dream about family. Actually, why is she not in your arms? On this thought you open your eyes. The sun has risen a while ago already, and you're alone in a single bed. Across the bed you notice the clothes you both hurriedly took off when you reach her home, but looking closer, some of them are torn apart. You move out of the bed and out of the room. The living room, with its small kitchen attached, shows signs of fight. Ornaments and kitchenwares are broken. There's a knife on the wall. What? How did this happen without waking you up? You finally reach the corridor that leads to the entrance room. Jane's hand is still on the handle. The rest of her body is rolled up in a corner as she desperately tries to defend herself. Blood was spread everywhere, so did flesh. You faint just before closing your eyes. What? The door bursts open and Detective Edgar enters. One of his arms is in a sling, the other holds a gun towards you. Behind him you can see the pool of Jane's blood has spread beyond the door and in the building's lobby. A concerned neighbor looks above his shoulder, half terrified and half satiated with voyeurism. You smile. What can happen to you now? Shoot me, you say, but Edgar is careful now and does not even dare to come close to you. Come on, shoot me! You realize it was a mistake. At that stage, the surest way to stop him from shooting you was to invite him to do it. Like you were with the tower earlier, Edgar suspects you are playing chess and think a few turns ahead of him. You have to rein in the three ghosts, all of which are eager to obliterate Edgar. I won't shoot you, he screams. Just step out calmly and everything will be alright, okay? The three ghosts are getting excited. Soon you won't be able to restrain them. Maybe you shouldn't. If they attack, maybe you will finally be shot. But they are too powerful, and if one person has to survive this whole story, let it be the detective who caught you. You run back to the bedroom. As you expected, Edgar hesitates to follow you. You open a window. As he finally catches up to you, escorted by several policemen, you say out loud, "May you have a peaceful afterlife, guys," and jump. You feel cozy, like in your large bed before all of this started. Gabia's words still echo in your mind. You can even remember bits of the Lithuanian language. Maybe you should have used it for something more fun, especially since Lithuania is free now. No KGB anymore. Nothing. How do you know? Because someone is telling you, a girl's voice speaking a weird version of your language with a rather obnoxious accent, as if she were trying too hard to be cool. But still, you can understand her. She's calling for you. You're her long-lost cousin, she says. Well, maybe you do have a family in the end. You can see her almost. You reach out to her. She's somewhere near you, you can feel it. It's not like you can see what she sees, but somehow you know what lies in front of her eyes. A cemetery. She quickly gets out though. She's asking you for help. She has no idea where to go. Will you help her? And that was everyone. That was Last Drops of Bloodline. So we committed suicide, I guess, and we also became a summoned ghost. And I like the ending. I like the ending because it kind of leaves stuff open, maybe for a future story about our character as a ghost now, helping his long lost cousin, but quite disturbing too. Interesting, but also quite disturbing story with all the killings, especially Jane's demise. I mean, if there would be someone to survive, it would have been her. But yeah, that was it. That was Last Drops of Bloodline, everyone. If you want to check it out yourself, you want to play it, or you want to show it to someone who might be interested in it, you can find it on itch.io. You can play it online. There's no download. Just play it on the webpage. See the link in the description below if you want to get there. Maybe leave some feedback, say what you like, what you didn't like, and who knows? Maybe we'll see more stories about Lithuania and summoning ghosts. But yeah, that was everyone. Thanks so much for watching. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up real quick. And if you like what I do here, consider subscribing. That would be actually immensely helpful if you could subscribe. Tell other people about the channel, spread the word. Check out the back catalog. Did I say that twice? I'm on YouTube, I'm on BitChute, I'm on Odyssey. Subscribe on all three if you can, or whichever platform is more convenient to you. They'll have their own exclusives though, so keep that in mind. If you want to see everything, it's good to check out all three. And after that, please take just half a minute to see the ways to which you can support me so I can continue doing gaming coverage and more for a very long time. The best way to support me is not to summon a ghost, but is to join my locals community at cryptichybrid.locals.com. The link is also in the description below. You can become a member of my locals community for free. It doesn't cost anything, and you get every public post that I make on there. But you can also become a supporter, and that gets you tons of perks. It's $4 a month, but you get things like early access to videos, you get support on only live streams, you get to decide what I play every Monday on live stream. So if you have a game that's your favorite and you want to see me play it, if you want to torture me with the game, again, become a supporter and tell me what to play every Monday. You also get behind the scenes content as a supporter, you get access to never before seen videos, you get to ask questions for future interviews that I do, and your questions will take priority during those interviews, and you also get to participate in game giveaways. So all those perks, only $4 a month. cryptichybrid.locals.com. Other ways to support me: you can give me a donation through PayPal. There's a PayPal link in the description. You can donate cryptocurrency to the Paystream link. You can donate bats, basic attention tokens, if you use the Brave browser like I do, and you get bats for seeing ads. You can tip those ads on. You can give me tips with bats on any video of mine on YouTube or any post that I make on Cryptic Hybrid on Twitter. I'm at Cryptic Hybrid there. Of course, follow me, because on there I post pretty regularly, like daily, about games that are coming out, obviously about live streams, about gameplay videos that I put up. So definitely follow me on there. And what else was, oh, and the Humble Store link, it's in the description below. Just bookmark that link, and whenever you want to make a game purchase or you want to get a bundle from the Humble Store, use my link and buy whatever you want. It's not gonna cost you anything extra, so that's very important. It doesn't cost you a thing, but you tell that store to send me a small percentage of the money you spend there. So it's a very, very small thing that you can do. Again, it costs you nothing, and it can help me out quite a bit. So please use that Humble Store link. And yeah, that was it. Last drops of Bloodline. Just be careful when summoning ghosts, because it can be, it can go really bad. Definitely don't summon a crazy psychopath who's murdered over 60 people. But other than that, yeah. Thanks again for watching, and until the next time we see each other, have an awesome day.